Church, my name is Jacqui and I'm excited to be bringing to you a little devotional today. And we're going to be looking at a story from 2 Chronicles 25, which is obviously from the Old Testament and not one I usually dig into, but I was reading a devotional this week from First 5, and it's just a devotion app that I love. And I've stolen a little bit of content from that, so I wanted to make sure I give them some credit. But this is definitely a devotional that's really is for me, if maybe more for me than it is for you, but I hope that you can glean something from it as well, because it's something that I guess hit home with me and kind of convicted me in a way, and so I hope I can share that with you today. So sometimes, I guess, in my journey with God, I can feel unmotivated or overwhelmed, or I guess just forgetful of the urgency of reading God's word and spending time with Him and what that all looks like. And if I'm not really spending time with God, then where is God speaking to me? How is He getting through into my life? And I guess, sure, you've got sermons, you've got friends talking to you, you've got your small groups, but that's all secondhand knowledge. None of that is God speaking to me and into my life. And so if I'm not spending time with God and in His word, am I risking silencing the voice of God in my life and risking Him not being able to speak into my life because I'm not giving Him a door to do so? And yes, God is pretty powerful and He will break down a door if He likes to, but it's probably good to give Him some space to do that. And so I wanted to chat to you today about a story from, as I said, 2 Chronicles 25. And it's about a king called King Amaziah. So you're welcome to read his story. It's a little bit it's not too gory like lots of the ones in the Old Testament. I do get a bit overwhelmed sometimes with those stories. But so King Amaziah, so Israel and Judah had their fair share of good kings and bad kings. And I would put King Amaziah probably somewhere in the middle. He wasn't horrible, but he definitely wasn't perfect. And so, not that anyone's perfect, but he made some big mistakes. And so I wanted to kind of chat through his story just really briefly with you today. So verse 2 really summarizes things really well in chapter 25. And it says, "He did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, but not wholeheartedly." And the "but not wholeheartedly" is really kind of key to his reign and what that looked like for him. So he actually started his reign really well. He did lots of things really right and in the way that God would like him to. He set different rules in place. He followed the law of Moses, and he did really great stuff. But then we begin to see his unwholeheartedness of his devotion to God kind of creep into his reign. And he did some pretty not great stuff. I'll just kind of summarize a few things. Firstly, God gave him victory over a nation, and then he went and took their gods, their ungods, their gods that weren't his God, and began to worship those, the gods of the country he had just defeated. So not only did he worship those gods, he also needlessly provoked a neighboring nation. And when a messenger from God came and spoke to him to warn him and to convict him, he silenced him and threatened to kill him. And so we see all these things where he's just kind of, his unwholeheartedness to God is seeping into his life, and he is silencing the voice of God in his life by silencing the messenger from God. And so we see in verse 27, I think it kind of captures the rest of his story really perfectly. And it says this, verse 27, "From that time, King Amaziah turned away from following the Lord." And after that, we see how King Amaziah is defeated and is later killed, which is really sad because he started off so well, but the unwholehearted devotion kind of was really pivotal for him. And so I guess from the outside, his decisions seemed a little bit illogical, I guess even to me. But if I am real with myself, potentially am I falling into some of the same mistakes that he might have, just in less obvious ways? Have I ever worshipped the gods of this world? Maybe not when I put it in those words, but maybe if I put it in different kind of words. What does worship look like? Am I seeking help from ungodly sources? Am I giving my time and my effort and my money to ungodly possessions or to endeavors that aren't of God? Am I relying and putting my hope in things of this world that are never going to come through for me, just like the gods of the defeated enemy that King Amaziah was worshipping? What am I putting my hope into in this world that isn't of God and that isn't going to help God's glory be shown in this world? Or am I like King Amaziah? Am I silencing the voice of God in my life? Am I shutting my Bible and saying, you know what, that was a little bit too convicting today. I can't be bothered, and I'm done for now today. Thanks, God. And kind of moving on from that. What am I doing? How am I risking the silencing of God's voice in my life? And I think it's really great to think about how we are putting our hope in different things. What are we relying on in this world? What am I looking for to give me a great worldview, to give me my hope, to give me my passion, to give me a voice of reason and a voice of love? What am I looking to provide those things in my life, to provide direction? And so I guess it's a challenging thought, and one I know that I have far from perfected in my own life. But this week, I pray that you'll join me in wholehearted devotion to God. Not half-hearted, not looking to other things to fill parts of my life, but wholehearted devotion to God. Wholeheartedly seeking Him, to seek relationship with Him. Not just activity for Him, but a deep relationship, reliance, and listening to Him, where activity then freely flows from that. So I pray that you join me this week in getting to know God's voice, into not silencing His voice in your life, His direct voice into your life through His word or through prayer or through worship, and listening to what He has to say to us. Sometimes it's really beautiful and it's full of encouragement, and sometimes it is full of conviction, but those are both beautiful things and part of His plan. Thanks for joining me.